Hello campers, welcome to a short video of a 16-day or 15 meal set walk in Kakadu National Park with VMTC, Victorian Mountain Tramping Club, on the escarpment of above Jim Jim Falls and Twin Falls in July 2021. There's much to see. Waterholes and navigating through lost city-like rock formations and rock shelves to camp on. In shade if you can, and the periodically burnt out areas, as well as avoiding the many green ant nests. And of course, breakfast under the stars. And make sure you have a swim. There's no saltwater crocodiles up here. Hope you enjoy.
The bus arrived, and the driver's strength was tested, having to lift our heavy packs into the luggage area. After a couple of rest stops, we clattered for an hour along a very corrugated dirt road to the busy Jim Jim camping ground, then another 30 minutes slowly along a narrow four-wheel drive track dealing with oncoming four-wheel drives, to the very busy Jim Jim Falls car park. After lunch we headed off to the falls pool, dropping our packs and dodging kids with colorful plastic foam flotation noodles. The pool area is scenic with the long waterfall, albeit a diminished flow. We all had a swim or dip, then went back to our packs, and in the warmest part of the day did a slow climb up along the pink ribboned falls lookout track, arriving on top after 2 hours at about 6 p.m. We came across a lovely waterhole a few hundred meters from Jim Jim Creek and decided to camp. Big Sister was the fire starter almost every day, and provided we supplied the wood, the breakfast fire would be ready to be crammed with blackening billies full of water when bodies exited their tents. On our second day we made our way to Rainforest Camp, with its novel series of ledges for tent sites, with water running down through the ledges, and little showers to a bottom pool, past which could be described as a butterfly-filled rainforest, alternately a golden orb spider-filled rainforest. After lunch we went to some nearby falls and pool, via a spider and butterfly forest.
There's a huge spider just behind the leaf.
Ripper of a spider. So many butterflies.
And took a photo of some skin lined up under the falls. On return, the evening habit for the trip started with lighting the fire, boiling water, possibly another swim, people cooking and eating dinner before it was dark, by about 6:30 p.m., and retiring at 7 p.m. to their tent with sunrise 12 hours later. This day we did a return day walk, partway down Rainforest Gorge, dealing initially with some scrub and small creeks, and then it was the beginning of many times we had to do boulder hopping, from football-sized rocks to bypassing truck-sized rocks. We are a pretty relaxed group, stopping for 2 morning teas and a swim or 2, as suits the mood. The hike after Rainforest Camp was a long tiring day of about 16 kilometers, from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m., to get to Twin Creek and the amphitheater campsite.
Typical Kakadu country. See why it's not easy navigating? Yep.
The topographic map was misleading, in that the first half of the walk indicated open plains, but in reality, it was a maze of rocky outcrops to challenge navigation and slow progress, and the final rocky outcrops area on the topographic map was easier to navigate and walk. The group encounters a current burn-off, with smoke blowing towards them. They alter direction and head to some rocky outcrops. At last, the group can see Amphitheater Falls in the distance. On reaching the pool below the falls, some had a swim, then the group had to make their way around the pool to the camp area above the falls. 2 people went a more challenging way around to the bottom of the falls, the rest around the top admiring the sunset on Twin Creek below and smoke in the distance. The top of these falls is a wide long flat slab area with some ledges, and a small stream flowing on one side, so very suitable for freestanding tents, but remember to fix tents down with rocks as it can get windy, and be aware of smart blackbirds who want to get into bags. Today was a rest day. For some that meant enjoying the pools and cascades to keep cool, while others followed Twin Creek downstream for about 3 kilometers, having the occasional swim, lunch and then returning.
Crocodile track.
In case you were wondering, the water was drunk without treatment. Over the course of the total hike, many birds were heard, but seldom seen.
Yeah, no, they're not like those things.
Accidents happen, so appropriate first aid kits and communication devices are carried. This day walk had both a significant muscle injury and a centipede bite. White sandy beaches appeared occasionally on all the creek systems we explored. Your host for this video was up early to catch the sunrise and the sundews on the edge of the falls. Today the group is moving on to what is called Paradise Camp, further upstream on Twin Creek. Naturally, a couple of swims occurred on the way. As well as sampling the delicious sweet nectar of the fern-leaved grevillea. On the way, the group viewed some impressive rock art, and out of respect no images are included. Paradise Camp is a rock platform area just above a waterhole, however it was occupied. So the group camped along the beach beside the very swimmable waterhole, and that was occupied by at least one freshwater crocodile. An 8 a.m. start as usual, passing first through the nearby rock platforms, then a 10 kilometers walk passing another rock art site, to Allison Camp. Most of the walk was on easy flat ground through crunchy dry eucalyptus forests, following occasional paths made by water buffalo. We left Twin Creek to follow another, passing some impressive escarpment formations. The final 2 to 3 kilometers were very slow, due to navigating through crowded burnt saplings. Allison Camp was nothing much to speak about, very scrubby and small, but shaded. Our 8th day was an easy walk of 3.5 kilometers to our next camp, nicknamed Hot Chili, on a minor creek. The walk was in mostly flat, dry forest, with occasional outcrops to climb through.
We're on day 8, and as you can see, we've found a beautiful spot to camp for a couple of nights. And we've all been cooling off.
Hot Chili has a large waterhole, fed by the creek running through a long rock shelf, upon which we set up our tents. The day was spent cooling off in the waterhole, cleaning up, relaxing, and noticing a few birds. This day was a relaxing return walk, upstream 3.5 kilometers to some falls and its waterhole. It took about 2 hours, with a couple of rest stops, to reach the cliff around the waterhole. The group spent an hour here, swimming, or floating in the Cascade rock holes, then returned to camp.
So we're at the end of day 9. I'm going to do a walkthrough of our campsite here. And finally to my tent at the end.
An early start for 11 kilometers walk of uncertain difficulty to a waterhole nicknamed Derek's Camp. Initially through dry forest, then along a lovely Pandani-lined creek system. Also populated with large paperbark trees. And at least one death adder. Then upstream through a canyon section, with some ledge walking, some flat areas, some scrub, some boulder hopping, and needing to cross over part way through. Moving through some recent burnt areas, and following up a minor creek, the picturesque waterhole camp is finally reached, but there is some concern about lack of shade as the days reach 35 degrees Celsius. Nonetheless, tents are set up scattered around the area, and the deep, wide waterhole is used to cool off.
Breakfast under the stars.
This day the group needed to firstly climb out of the creek system. After looking back towards Derek's Camp, the group took a longer, but flat route rather than a harder direct route towards Jim Jim Creek.
This is day 11. We have about a 16-kilometre walk today. We started at 7 a.m. It's Grevillea nectar tasting time.
Extra water was carried for the day, but was not required as the going was faster than expected. While stopping for lunch, some rock art was noticed nearby.
Okay, folks, 1 kilometre water.
Arriving at Jim Jim Creek, just after lunch, the group found a nice camp spot that they nicknamed Kelly's Heroes Camp, with plenty of shade along the bank and a nice deep section of creek to swim in. The fish were curious. The day ended with a pretty sunset and mosquitoes. The night was noisy with bats flapping and screeching.
There's no rush today. We probably can get in camp by lunchtime. There's a number of rocky water holes and spas, I've been told, might invite us. So that's the plan. 5 kilometres at the maximum, maybe even less.
The group moved on downstream along Jim Jim Creek, crossing some large rock slab areas, doing a bit of rock hopping, and walking beside large water holes. A narrow, deep pool after a carved channel was an ideal rest and swim spot. At midday, the picturesque Robbins Camp was reached, with its white sandy beach and clear water, and most tents set up in the scrub on the nearby dunes for shade. Continuing downstream, the group needed to go cross-country a couple of times, firstly to cut across a bend in the creek, and secondly to bypass a sacred area.
Oh, the ants are taken over.
We have seen a few wasp nests, but this one was taken over by ants. Your host for this video considers this one of the loveliest sights seen on the entire walk. And of course, a couple of swims occurred during the day. Pandani fruit before and after a fire. After looking for a suitable camp, the group settled down along a shallow section of Jim Jim Creek and called it Grevillea Camp, due to the many grevilleas encountered. In keeping with tradition at earlier camps, here is a walkthrough of the tent sites. A black snake swam across and under the yellow tent. A few went to explore the burnt rocky outcrops near the camp.
Ripple Rocks near Jim Jim Creek.
Later there was more photographic exploration along the creek and rocky outcrops. Before settling down for dinner and another pretty sunset. It was an unusually chilly morning, so a close encounter with the breakfast fire was required. Notable during the early morning walk were the reflections in the still pools. A morning tea break by a small waterhole required access via the use of a dubious footbridge. At a lagoon, the group discovered they were on the wrong side of the creek, so stripped down and waded across. Stopping for a sleepy lunch break, 2 lots of flowering water lilies were found. For our final camp location, we stopped on Jim Jim Creek, only a few minutes walk from our first camp, and about 10 minutes walk from the top of the falls.
We're about half a kilometre upstream from Jim Jim Falls, and this is our campsite, and I'm going to do a walkthrough.
During the rest day, a lookout on a nearby rock outcrop was popular, and gave a good view to the camp and escarpment. The yellow flower of the kapok appeared in this area. Everyone at some stage walked down to the Jim Jim Falls lookout area, passing a small pretty waterhole, and encountering some day walkers from below.
Can't even see a trickle over. What I did, Felicity, was lie down.
The view was excellent, and some returned to watch and photograph the sunset, or to just sit quietly and absorb the ambience.
So that's the end of day 15 of the VMTC Kakadu walk, and we're finishing it at sunset above Jim Jim Falls. A lovely way to finish a walk.
All were packed early, and compared each other's pack weight, and then a group photograph was assembled.
Another beautiful day in Kakadu. It's just after 8 AM on day 16, and we're heading off Jim Jim Creek back to the bus.
After about 30 minutes the descent commenced, following the pink ribbon marked track.
There's the car park down there for Jim Jim Falls.
It took about 2 hours to hike down to the car park, some sections being quite steep. Shortly after, the four-wheel drive bus arrived for the trip back to Darwin, passing the now almost empty Jim Jim campground. Back in Darwin, a few of the group later went to the Thursday night Mindle Beach markets, bought food and watched another sunset.